Hello, good morning. How's it going? Look at you guys just hanging out, chit-chatting without me. I love it when the YouTube people just hang out and chit-chat amongst themselves. It makes me feel better about being late every day. I'm telling you, no matter what time I start getting ready, I could give myself an hour and a half. I'll still be late. I don't know why it always works that way. It's your daily reminder that time does not exist. Hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Nice to see you guys. How is everyone? Good morning, good morning. Still getting my coffee ready. I'm half awake right now. Nice to see everyone. Gonna light some Palo Santo real quick. My Palo Santo's getting real short. Palo Santo roaches. Trying to burn it down to the very end. Not burning my fingers. How is everybody today? Tardiness is an earth sign thing. Yes, it totally is, Stephen. I agree. Nobody can make a bull arrive before they mean to. Good luck forcing a bull. We just stand there and look at you like, you cannot force a Taurus to hurry up. We just look at you and we're like, I will take longer. Think I won't. I do, Gail. I need a clip for this. I need some tweezers. How is everybody doing today? Hi, Kazan. Good morning, honey. I'm so glad you're enjoying the clips and stuff. Kazan, if you haven't taken my psychic protection course yet, you're going to love it. That's the number one that everybody seems to love the most. I go on for 4 hours. I just go off on a tangent for 4 hours about spiritual hygiene and how to keep beasties away. Amy's here. Hi, honey. Excited to see you in June. Got lots of cool, fun things in the works. Michelle says, I just saged the entire house and held the sage stick by the AC. Did that before. My mom has central air, so I went to the central air duct and I just lit the biggest bundle of sage and just, yeah. I don't think the beasties appreciated it much. Today feels better than yesterday, Summer says. I absolutely agree, Summer. I don't know what's been going on with the energies the last couple weeks, but it has actually, the last week has been a bit intense. Anybody have anything they wanted to discuss? Duncan says, what crystal are you wearing today? This is an amethyst. You can't really tell. Ella got me this. If you guys remember Ella. Ella gave me this many, many years ago. Casca and I have almost identical ones, which must be made by the same person because they're identical. So I really love wearing my amethyst. And I got my, you can't really see, but this is a very special type of labradorite called a spectralite. Do you guys ever see spectralite? It's one of my favorites. Really love spectralite. And these earrings that I'm always wearing, Duncan asked me about my crystals. I will always tell you, Duncan. This is a special type of turquoise. You guys ever see Kingsman turquoise? That is Kingsman turquoise. Isn't that pretty? So Kingsman turquoise comes from, it's like purple and blue turquoise, like a really deep bluish purple color. These were really expensive. This was like $100 for these turquoise earrings. But they're my favorite. I really, really love them. In fact, Fergus has saved me like 4 times from losing one of them. I was in the airport. I had my headphones on. Walking immediately. He's like, check your ears. And I did. And whoop, there's an earring. And I turn around and it's right on the ground behind me. I was like, oh, thank you. Comes from Kingston, Arizona. I didn't know that. Thank you so much, David. I appreciate you saying so. Casca is so much fun. She really is. Thank you, Julie. Do you guys have any questions about what we discussed yesterday with Casca? What are your favorite crystals? Since we're talking about crystals real quick, what are you guys wearing today? What's your favorite crystals to wear? I'm always wearing these. If you guys notice, I'm always wearing black crystals. One of these, right? I got this from the Moldavite Space Pickle group. These are all meteorites. I have a thing for meteorites. I just do. So this is all meteorites. And that is Libyan desert glass. That's a bead of Libyan desert glass. And I have another one on this side. And these are all shungite. So it matches. And this is also shungite. So I have 2 shungites on my right wrist. Shungite is really good to wear if you're hanging out around computers all day long, which is what I do. Do you know anything about Andaris? Is that another word for... There's so many different names for different galactic races. Black tourmaline is a really good one to keep on you. Yes, black tourmaline is great. I have a really big black tourmaline that I've been wearing. This is actually a smoky quartz. Look at this thing. You ever seen a smoky this dark? I love smoky quartz. Smoky quartz is one of the most underrated crystals out there. It is such a fantastic crystal. Love smoky quartz. I have stuff. I have crystals absolutely everywhere. Like, if you have only idea, I have probably close to 500 crystals in my house. I'm a crystal addict. Don't go to Peru. I just tell you, if you love crystals, I came home with like 2 suitcases full of crystals. Summer says, I keep shungite in my purse. You don't even want to know what I have in my purse. I'm one of those weird people where my purse is half rocks. I have half rocks. Half of them are ones I bought, and half of them are ones I picked up. If somebody tries to steal my purse, they're going to be very disappointed because they're going to be like, oh, look at this sweet haul. It's going to be so heavy. And they're going to open it up and it's just rocks. So, Herkimer Diamond is really nice, Jessica. We'll talk about this quite a lot on the Psychic Protection course next weekend. The Psychic Protection course goes into crystals quite a lot because crystals are probably one of the most helpful things you can have. Crystals and orgonite. Telling you, if you're going to carry anything in your pocket, crystals and orgonite. They are very high frequency. They help to anchor your frequency high, and it makes it easier for you to stay sovereign. Adriana's here. Hi, Adriana. Nice to see you, darling. I have orgonite in my bag, keychains, etc. Yep, same here. I have a bunch. Like, I'm not even kidding. Wait, here, I'll show you. I'm not even kidding. When I say, just to give you an idea of what I keep in my purse, I have orgonite from France. Check that out. Isn't that cool? My friend made me this. It's got Mary Magdalene orgonite. And, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I have so many crystals. This is just one pocket, right? Just one pocket. I have 5 crystals that I picked up or that I bought. And every pocket I go into, there's more. I'm not even kidding. Every pocket. Check this one out. Look at this one. This one's my stress stone. So this is a worry stone. You guys ever see a worry stone? This is lapis lazuli. Lapis lazuli is a really, really special stone. You don't often find it in such large pieces like that. I am not even kidding. I have so many. It's unbelievable. So many that I don't even know. I don't even know what this is. I think it's ruby and zoistite. Zoistite? I can't remember. I think it's ruby. Ruby and quartz. A moonstone. Check out the labradorite. Look at that. I'm like a crow. If I see shiny labradorite, I'm like, yep, that's mine. Shiny labradorite. I have so many of them. Last time I saw Bradley, I was like, here, just take this. So many crystals. So chances are, if you hang out with me, oh my God, there's just one pocket that's absolutely full. It's even full of sea glass. Like, I pick up, I'm telling you, I'm like a crow. Look at that big chunk of sea glass I picked up. I need to empty out my purse from when I went to visit Adriana. But you know, if you pick up stuff like this, there's chances are you're picking up high vibrational stuff. It feels good to have it in your pocket because it's, you know, it. Ooh, look at this one. This is another big heavy one I carry in my purse. It's a gold labradorite. Check that out. Look at the gold on it. You can't really see that well on this one. See, look at the flashes of gold on it. You don't often see gold on labradorite, but that's why I got it's gray and gold for labradorite. Telling you, labbies are my favorite. My bag is the weapon, Adriana says. It really is. So keep them in your pockets, wear them. Crystals, I'm telling you, they're one of the most important things for staying sovereign. They really do raise your frequency. Steven says full moon next week. Recharge your crystals under the full moon. What do we tell Steven about that? You guys have heard me rant about it. The moon is the source of our 3D matrix. So anytime you make moon water, anytime you charge your crystals in the moonlight, you are imbuing your crystals and your water with matrix energy. So, nope. I was told many times by my guides, stay away from the full moon. It's not good juju. You can do it in the sun. Putting it in the sun is fine. Sun is the good thing. Okay, you want lots of sun. Sun helps to recharge your crystals. It can actually change the color of your crystals though, so be mindful of that. Yes. But this is a common thing that people talk about these days because the moon energy, lots of people love the moon energy, and we're not saying there's anything inherently bad about the moon. It's just the matrix is what we're trying to move away from, you know? And there's a reason they call it lunacy as to why people act all crazy during the full moon. If people are acting crazy with the full moon because of the full moon energy, why would you want to put that in your water and your crystals? Just saying. We're all like, get Steven, run! Like, nope. I'm telling you, this is something that I will, this is the hill I'm going to die on. Stay away from the moon. Yes, and it will also change. Yes, the sun does change the colors of your crystals. So be mindful of how often you put them in the sunlight. Certain ones will change color. So, anything you guys wanted to discuss today? I am still wearing black because I'm still upset. I have more black shirts where this came from. I wasn't going to make a big post. You guys already saw the post about David Wilcock, and I'm pretty upset about Nick Pope as well. I was closer with Nick Pope than pretty much any other ufologist. So I'm still really upset about Nick passing away, and I didn't even get a chance to come to terms with that before all this stuff about David came out. And I'm not saying his last name because I don't want to get flagged. There are people who have been having their TikTok pages taken down just for talking about him right now, which doesn't make any sense. So we are trying to be more mindful of the censors, which is why I have to be vague about how I explain certain things. And people were asking, because one of the most shocking things about this is like 24 hours or 48 hours or something like this before the event happened. He actually said that he was happy and excited about the future and all kinds of stuff. To be completely honest with you, I found David back in 2012. I don't know if anybody ever watched any of his Russian pyramid research. In fact, let me see if I can find it really quick. It was so good. It came out in 2012. David had this whole big thing about 2012. It was let me find it. Oh, figures now that There's a whole lot of new stuff coming up here. Let me just see here if I can find it in my liked videos because it's, let's see. So the Russian pyramid research was absolutely fascinating. And it was one of the most interesting things. There we go. That I had researched up until that point. Because I had my spiritual awakening in February of 2012. And everybody, I don't know if you guys remember, anybody spiritually awakened back then? Remember all the crap that was out there? Oh man, I fell for it hook, line, and sinker. I totally did. My astral projection was on February 21st, 2012. So because of that, I made an assumption that the reason I had it on that date was that was 10 months before this whole 2012 prophecy thing was supposed to happen. And this is one of the times where I had egg on my face because everybody was talking about it. And I like I said, I totally fell for it. I believed that the world was going to change in 2012. And I got a little bit depressed when it didn't. My world changed in 2012 because 4 days after that, my father passed away quite suddenly. So that really kind of shifted a lot for me in regard to my spiritual awakening and all of this. Don't tell me it's been taken down. Oh no. Now, see, people were saying that this was going to be a concern, that his stuff would start disappearing. I can't find it. It's not in my list of liked videos. I'll check one more time to be sure. But yeah, he had some really amazing stuff on Russian pyramid research. It was like a 3-hour long seminar, and I know for a fact it was here because I sent it to somebody like a year ago. No way. All right, I'm just checking one more time really quick to make sure that it's gone. See, this is why it's so important. Don't just watch videos. The ones you really resonate with, the ones you really like, download them. It is really important. Yeah, it's gone. Okay, that kind of pisses me off. Oh, unbelievable. Nope, it's gone. Did anybody watch it though? You guys know what I'm talking about, right? He gave such amazing discussions. It was like a 3-hour seminar all about 2012 and consciousness. I wonder if his whole 2012 thing has disappeared now. All right, well, I'm done looking. Some of you guys have seen, I take it. Yes, always archive. Gail says Mandela coming your way. It could be a Mandela effect. All right, I'm scrolling up to see what I missed. Jenny had a question. How often must you empty your sea salt bowls under your bed? It depends. I'd say once a week. Once a week should be fine. So the stuff with Corey and all of that drama that happened is the reason I stopped following him. To be completely honest with you guys, I have not been keeping up to date on what was going on. Gail says, wait, salt under the bed? Yeah, if you're dealing with night terrors, one of the best things you can do is put a bowl of salt under your bed. It absorbs negative energy. Is there a backlog on house clearings right now? No, not really. We're a couple days over the 4-week mark. Some of you get clearings sooner, depending on others. If you booked a full detailed and like a full detailed and a whole family clearing, those take longer. I need a 2-hour window to do one of those. If I sometimes have a 30-minute window and we can do a couple, I can do 3 rechecks sometimes in 30 minutes. I'm a very fast typer. So if I have 30 minutes worth of clearings, then I I can only do a couple rechecks. So if you notice rechecks get done a lot faster, that's why. Rechecks don't take very long. I had somebody that booked a family of 4 in a mediumship reading that took us 2 hours last night. So just the mediumship reading and all the other stuff that can take a lot longer. Individualized reports take a lot longer. I'll talk about that more in a minute because I don't want to change the David subject until we're done talking about it. Was there any questions about it? I did say that I would mention what happened when I checked in. I'm trying to be very vague about this so I can say what I want to say. So you guys can get my point without the censors getting my point. I had my stealthiest soul guide friend have a peek at the situation. Because I need closure. I need validation. I automatically knew what happened. Pretty much the minute I read the news story, I knew immediately what had happened. But I wanted to validate it because I'm one of those people where I need constant validation, and I need the validation from a trusted source. I can't believe myself as a trusted source, especially if I just download it. Because what do I know? I'm just, hanging out here. So this is why on many occasions when big news stories come out of my own insatiable curiosity, I do ask a favor and I ask them what's going on. So when we wanted to find out what happened to David, so we had a quick little peek, and just trying to decide how much I can say and how much I can't say. My suspicion was that the government sent a hit squad in the form of whats. And they did. 6 of them. There were 6 of them. There was something he was going to talk about, or something that he had just talked about, where they were like, nope, you're done. And that's what it was. I can't say anything more than that because I don't want to stick my own head out of this. Is why we don't stick our heads out of the trench. Because if they send what they sent to him, there's not much anyone can do about it. Even in my situation, even somebody who has the support that I have, we would still be at risk. And so I would absolutely love to be able to help him, but unfortunately, people who are very, very high profile like that, it's not just 1, 2, 3. We're talking like 6 to 10 around him. And it's not even about whether or not we could help. It's the repercussions. It's the kickback from doing so. There's a couple people who have no idea who I'm talking about, and that's fine. I think it's better that way. Because if you don't know, the censors don't know. There's one of our people was taken out on April 20th. And many of us are still quite upset about it. This is why I've been wearing black for the last couple days, because I'm in mourning. I may not have agreed with everything he's been putting out, but he was still one of us. So it just goes to show how desperate they are. Katie says, what do we do about it? We keep on keeping on, Katie. We don't let it deter us. We get smarter. We have to be more careful. We have to be more vigilant. And there's just so much that I wish I could say. And maybe on Astara, I'll talk about it a bit more. But I'm not trying to get on the radar my own self. So this is why I like who I am and what I'm doing. Because I'm like, I'm a little fishy. I'm not on the radar, so to speak. I'm just kind of doing my thing in my own place, helping my community. I'm not trying to change the entire planet. I'm just making little tiny ripple effects that, you know, move on. I don't need the credit for all of this. I don't want the credit. I just want to do what I can to make this world a better place than how I found it. And I think I've already kind of done that in some regard. So, I mean, everything here now is just bonus. So, yes, he is. He is stuck. When you're in the situation he's in, he is. I don't know whether or not that will change, but that is the current situation and it's too risky for my team. So if something happens to us, we can't help anybody. So it's just not worth it. As much as I love several people that I wish I could help, there's one person I really want to help right now. I'm not going to say her name. You probably know who I'm talking about. She's on the top of my list. She passed away how many years ago? 800 years ago, and she's still stuck. She's still in a dark void with a bunch of them. And it was too dark for us to do anything about, unfortunately. So, we do what we can with what we've got. And we have to be very careful because these things can come back to bite us, so to speak. If you can tell, I'm choosing my words very carefully this morning. I almost didn't say anything about it at all. Prayer always helps. So if there is somebody that you are concerned about, you can always pray. You can always ask Archangel Michael. You never know. You never know. I never say never about anything. There is so much more that I wish I could do, but I will not risk my team. I will not risk the safety of myself, my family, or my team. We already are at risk doing this work, period. But you don't go poking a 6,000-year-old bear, if you know what I mean. Especially if it's a really big, scary one. Flick. See? Did you see that? Did you see? As soon as I said flick, did you see what happened? Mm-hmm. The screen cut out on that for a second. That was weird. Who's here? See? So, how about them Yankees? Yes. How's the weather today? So, what else do you guys want to talk about? Yeah, I know, Leanne. I know. I don't need my mic to go all smoky weird again. I heard you. Okay. All you had to do was give me a little attention, and I'm like, all right, noted. Zipping it. Adriana says they're listening. They're always listening. And so that's how I feel about that. But he said, be good, Laura. Leanne, I don't know how. I try. I do my best. I told you, I'm a work in progress. It's the whole respect thing we talked about yesterday. Don't do what I do. See? See? I'm working on it. I'm working on being more respectful. Oh. Sarah said she is being good. Thank you, Sarah. Ooh, Angelina is up for clearings. Yes, Carolyn is here. Thank you, my darling. And since Adriana is also here, maybe Zach is eager. Zach. Zach around this morning? Who wants a clearing today? Angelina is offering. I think Zach is here too. I got goosebumps all over me just a second ago. So I think they are like, they're doing something right now. I was going to talk a little bit about those colossal rescues we did yesterday. Maybe I will still talk about that. I had a very emotional colossal rescue yesterday. I don't often talk about them because, first of all, I really would love it if you guys would book more Lost Soul rescues. I love them. They're my favorite thing that we do. I only have like 2 or like 4 pending Lost Soul rescues right now. So please book some more. I'm running out of Lost Soul rescues to do. I really love them. I love them because I love helping people, and I love doing it, especially with like Zach and Sam and Carolyn and Kat, because they are so compassionate and very like, when they tune in, they don't just clear one earthbound too, they clear all these other earthbounds around. So yesterday, and I really hope the client doesn't mind me mentioning this, I didn't ask in advance, so please forgive me if this was an issue, but there is a bridge in Washington, I don't want to say which one, where a lot of people jump from. And one of the Lost Soul rescues I did, Nicole says, can you explain a Lost Soul rescue versus SRT? So a Lost Soul rescue is an SRT for a deceased person. So a deceased person still has attachments. Not as many as the living do, because a lot of it is also tied to the vessel and other things, but they can still have demonics attached. They can still have contracts and curses and spells and all kinds of shit. So how's everybody feeling, by the way? If you're feeling anything during the clearing, we'd love to hear it. Yes, Angelina and Zach are working on the clearing right now. So if you would like a clearing for your family or for yourselves, feel free to just ask out loud or to ask in the chat so they can see it. So for people who have passed away, it's not so easy to cross over. As we talk about the matrix all the time, the matrix is a big part of that, but there are other issues such as entities, confusion, fear. If you're too scared to cross over, nobody's going to force you to do it. If you don't want to cross over, nobody's going to make you do it in most circumstances. So it takes a lot of coaxing sometimes to get somebody who's really scared to cross over. And a lot of times we find them in death loops, which is how we found this individual yesterday that had jumped from the bridge. So I asked, why did this happen? Because, something like that is so, to think of the level of fear one must have to do something like that, and also be in that mindset to not care about yourself to that regard. And so I asked, how many of the people who have jumped from this bridge were not sovereign? And every single one of them were not. In fact, one of the things the guide said, it wasn't just the one person. There were over 75 other earthbounds that had done the same thing. One of the earthbounds that had jumped was a mother and had a child in her arms when she had jumped. All of these people that had jumped were still in death loops. They were still falling. And when I asked how this had happened and why so many of them had been choosing this bridge, do you know what they told me? They said, well, this is what has happened for so long, because entities are actually almost like Jedi mind tricking people and dragging them to that space through intention. So every single one of those people was not sovereign. And what entities do in places like that is they will try and like I said, Jedi mind trick you is the best way of putting it. They will use your vulnerable mindset, your fear, your pain, your anger, your confusion, and they will get into your mind and they will take you to that space, and you don't even really know what you're doing when that happens. And then you get stuck. And not only does the pain not go away, it actually goes on repeat, like a scratching record. That's what a death loop is. You know how, like, when a record scratches and you hear the same sound over and over again? That's basically what it is, because it's not, when we say it's a loop and you re-experience it over and over and over again, it's not like it was in several TV shows where you relive your whole day over again. It's that moment of death. It's the moment over and over and over and over. And so it can happen hundreds of times, thousands of times, tens of thousands of times. And one of the shocking things about it is that it doesn't matter. Time does not exist. So there were people that had jumped 200 years ago from that same area, from that same bridge, and they still were falling. 75 of them. And there were so many reptilians on that bridge. I think we got like 19 reptilians on that bridge. So basically now that's another thing we add to our list, is every bridge you can imagine probably needs a clearing. It's just adding to the workload of all the places that we need to check. But honestly, after driving, I'm not going to look at bridges the same way again after that clearing. There was another one that I found very interesting. So, and I've been doing quite a lot of these. Ooh, something just knocked my own crystal over. So, another thing we've been finding with earthbounds too, and this is another reason why I honestly, it's my favorite thing that I do. Don't get me wrong, I love doing clearings. I love chasing lizards around and getting lizards off of people. But crossing over people that have been stuck for a long time, like that is, it's the one thing that I feel the most drawn to in this work. There's so many bridges everywhere, Gail. We've got our work cut out for you. Thank you for complimenting my mug. As you can tell, yeah, you know where that's from. I'm sure you can guess why I'm using it today. Somebody just asked what's going on with Suicide Forest in Japan. I've asked about it because I wanted to clear it. In fact, I even suggested that, hey, why don't we go to Japan and clear it? I'm like, let's go. It is probably one of the top 20 darkest places in this entire world. It's not like Skinwalker dark, but it's close. So what happens is when you have a very low vibrational place, places that have a lot of trauma, a lot of pain, a lot of collective darkness for a whole lot of reasons, it creates like a black hole of energy. And when you have this black hole of energy, it pulls all this darkness into that space and it makes it darker and darker and darker. And then when more things will start to happen there. We found this in Gettysburg, for example. Gettysburg is a great example of this because I think there were over 300 layers in Gettysburg of trauma on the land itself. So we found that there was an Atlantean library, or not library, or you call it a laboratory. And the Atlantean laboratory was what anchored this low vibrational space. And then more battles would happen, more trauma would happen, more disasters would happen, and then more battles would happen, more killing would happen. And it's just layer after layer after layer after layer after layer after layer after layer. And that's, every one of those layers has dead people. Every one of those layers has trauma. And that forest is exactly the same. It has things from before the flood that was very dark. During the flood, it got hit really bad and lots of suffering happened then. All the collective suffering around Japan because of Hiroshima and Nagasaki absolutely adds to things like this. Of course it does. I mean, yeah, absolutely it would. And it's crazy that you even mentioned that as well, because I found somebody the other day. I was doing clearings. I put it on the report war trauma because I wasn't allowed to put into more detail. And I do that a lot. I put a lot of war trauma in there, but on occasion they will give me a bit more detail as to what that war trauma was. And it was like 2 weeks ago, we found somebody who had died in Hiroshima. Like 2 weeks ago. They had the trauma of Hiroshima. So there are people reincarnating from that. So not everybody got stuck, but at the same time, there's still a lot of trauma. There's a whole lot of pain, and especially in certain areas. And that pain will get heavier and heavier and heavier and heavier. And then people who are in pain are drawn to that space. Do you ever feel really sad? So you're like, I'm going to go and I don't know, like go and listen to sad music, right? So you sit in the sadness. This is how a lot of people, this is how honestly how I feel with emotions. If I'm feeling something, I go and I sit in that emotion, and music helps me to do that. If I'm trying to get over something where I'm feeling sad or depressed, I will go and listen to sad music for a little bit to help me kind of release the emotions. And then when I feel better, I listen to something else, right? Well, when people are very depressed and sad and lonely and scared and all of those things, they go to a place that feels that way for them. And as Brittany just so wonderfully just said, it's a frequency match. Exactly. So when people are down and depressed and sad and lonely and all of these things, they go to a place that feels the same way, and they sit in that place. And that is one of those places. That is why certain people are drawn to that darkness, that sadness there. And unfortunately, there are entities everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. In fact, I even said, can we clear the earthbounds out of there? And they said, absolutely not. And I said, why not? If it's just earthbounds. And they said, you think it's just earthbounds in those woods? Oh yeah, good point. They're like, of course not. Places like that, you're more likely to do that when you go there. Like, let's just say, I'm thinking about it, right? I'm going to go there, walk around, and I'm just ponder and see if I decide to go. Lots of people have that. They even have like ways of finding their way out, so to speak. They leave little trails to follow or strings to follow, right? So they decide whether or not they want to stay or if they're going to actually do the thing. So what happens when they get there? Well, it's so dark, so dense, so low vibrational, and there's entities that are going in your ear the whole time that a lot of people don't change their mind. And when you go to these woods, you see strings everywhere because they never came out. So it's a very, very sad and dark place. And I wish I could clear it. I really do. Maybe at some point in the future we would do that. But right now we're trying to we're chiseling our way into some of these dark places. And that's what you can, there was a site in Scotland. It was very dark. I don't want to say the name. It was a school where something absolutely the worst thing that you could ever imagine happening at a school. So I'm sure you guys know what I'm talking about. It happened in Scotland. When we tried to clear the school, we couldn't because there was so much darkness around it. Like, it was literally like a shell of darkness. Like, if you ever see the movie Ghostbusters, right? And in the movie Ghostbusters, there was all that heaviness, all that darkness, that shell that was sitting over it. And all of New York came together to sing, and by singing, it raised the vibration and it broke the shell, and they were able to kind of get in that way. Similar thing happened where we tried to get in. It was too dark. Like, our team couldn't get in. So what did we do? We started chiseling our way in from the outside. We started basically slowly working our light in. In fact, we were even throwing light bombs in. Like, we were visualizing light and just throwing it into the darkness to try and raise the vibration of the space so our team could move in. And that really helped me to understand, like, we've been talking about this battle of light versus dark for a very long time. And I didn't really understand what it meant. I didn't understand what they mean with a battle of light versus dark. How does that even, like, what are we talking about? But it quite literally is light versus dark. So when you have a space that is very, very dark and dense, The light can't get in. Light beings can't get in. It is so low vibrational and dense that something very high vibrational can't get in. It just bounces right off of it. Exact same thing happens when it's the opposite. If it's a very, very light, very high vibrational place, the darkness tries to get in and they bounce off of it. So if you have something that is so high vibrational, you anchor that high vibrational space, it makes it harder for them to get in and ruin it. But remember, the entire planet used to be like that. The whole planet was basically surrounded in darkness. And it took a long time for these light beings to be able to kind of, it's like hole punches. They were basically like punching holes of light into the darkness. And that's what we've been doing this whole time. We just keep hole punching more light into the darkness. And that's how we cleared the school. We were able to. It took us a while. But we did. We started basically working our way in from the outside. And we found the children at the exact center of the school. And that's what the darkness was protecting us from getting the children out of there. That was probably one of the most emotional clearings I've ever done. Those of you who are on the call might remember that one. That was, whew. But that helped me to understand what we're dealing with here on Earth. This is basically, that school was an analogy for the entire planet. Because for a long time, our entire planet was like that, where there was so much darkness and it was so heavy that all these light beings had to watch from the outside and they couldn't even see in. So for those of you who are kind of like new to this whole understanding of light versus dark, I hope that explanation assisted a little bit, because it took a while for me to understand what they were talking about. When they said darkness beat out light and Earth became their domain, I didn't really understand what the Tegetans meant when they said that. But now I do. And this is what we're doing. We're still hole punching. We're still poking holes of light into the darkness. This is why Josie just said, why was it called the Dark Ages? Well, there you go, Josie. That's why it was the Dark Ages. There was so much darkness, so many entities, just so much pain and suffering on this planet that not much light was getting in. And if not a lot of light is getting in, there's not a lot of good help. There's not a lot of good things happening. So Melody says, how can we help you, hole punch? Somebody booked a clearing the other day for somebody in a hospice. It was their parent in the hospice. That parent was already crossed over, which was really adorable. Oh my God, he was so sweet to talk to. It was somebody's dad, and he was this sweet English guy. It was really funny when we tuned in, actually, because I hope they don't mind me telling the story, because I don't think they would. But when we tuned in, actually, I'm like, I gave the client's name, his date of birth, his date of death, and where he died, right? He died in a hospice. And it took a minute for them to find him. And they're like, oh no, he's already crossed over. And I'm like, okay, good. I say, can you hear me? And they said, one moment. He's a little frazzled right now. Hang on a second. We're explaining something to him. And I said, what do you mean he's frazzled? He's already crossed over. Why would he be frazzled? And they said he was in the life review and pre-life planning stages. He was planning some stuff. He was going through his life review. And it's like using technology. And as we tuned in, everything disappeared. And he's like, shit, what did I do? I broke something. Like, he was in the middle of planning all of this stuff. And like looking at his life review, and it reminds me of somebody like being on like a machine, you know, and he's like, oh, this was cool. I'm going to have some of this. Oh, I'm going to do that and this and that. And all of a sudden, everything just powers down. And he's like, what just happened? What did I do? Did I break something? Because that was the first thing he said when we tuned into his energy. Like, shit, what did I do? What did I break? And we're like, what are you talking about? And he goes, and the guides were like, oh, he was doing something when we tuned in. And I said, well, what was he doing? And they said, he was doing his life review. He was planning his next life. And he was just kind of, you know, messing around with technology. And that's when we tuned in, and then he was a bit like, whoa, what's happening? Who is this? Whose voice am I hearing? Like, he didn't know what was happening. And it was really cute. He was a really lovely guy. It was fun to chat with him for a few minutes because he was explaining a little bit about what his next life was going to be about. He's very excited to come back to the same family. And he was so in love with life. He only passed away like a year ago, and he's like, I'm coming back. Like, I'll see you tomorrow. Like, that was kind of like his vibe. And it was really funny to be like, okay, so anyway, the reason I'm saying this is even though he was crossed over, you know what I did. You guys know what I'm like. I was like, even though he's not in the hospice, can we clear out the hospice? They're like, yeah, of course. We got 200 more earthbounds. 200 more from the hospice. So just in those two clearings alone that I mentioned, right? We got over 200, or we got like 300 earthbounds between the 70 something on the bridge and then the 200 plus that we found in the hospice, just in 2 earthbound checks. There was another case too that I found really crazy. This was a little while back, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. I've been forgetting to talk about it because we're since we're on the subject of earthbounds today anyway. Do you guys remember when I was in Grenada? I told you guys about how I had a really weird psychic attack where all of a sudden we left the beach, we just stopped to get some dinner, we get back in the car, we're driving away, and all of a sudden I felt really, really car sick to the point where I thought I was going to throw up. Like, I got so sick. I didn't understand what was happening. I almost asked Adriana to pull over. Like, it was bad. In fact, I was sitting there in the back of the car going, I don't know what's happening or why I feel this way. But it just felt like I was seasick to the extreme. And I said something to the guides. I was like, I don't think I'm sovereign. There's something wrong. And they're like, all right, hang on. And the guides, Bradley was in the car as well. And he's like, hang on, I'll get Sam to check. And he tunes into Sam, and Sam is checking me. And they're like, there's technology on you. We don't really know what it is or what it's doing, but it's creating a vortex under your feet. And I was like, okay, that explains why I feel so sick. Like, I really, really feel ill right now. And they said, okay, well, we're gonna try and reground you. It messed with your chakras a bit. We're gonna fix this. And I said, how did it happen? How did it get there? And they said an earthbound did it. How did an earthbound do something like that? They threw technology in your etheric like a bomb and ran away. What? They're like, yeah, basically like planted a bomb, ran away. And I was like, okay, why would they do that? And they said, well, they were under direction of someone else. They had a dark contract with the demonic. And I was like, so demonics tell earthbounds what to do? Oh, absolutely. If they have a dark contract with them, yes, they can definitely tell earthbounds what to do. In fact, they often do. So I'm like, what do we do about the earthbound then? And they said, well, it ran away, but there was a cord, so we can follow it. We can trace it. And I said, can you trace the demonic that sent it? And they said, oh, absolutely. It's got a dark contract. I was like, yes, thank you. So the demonic thought he was clever by sending an earthbound to do his dirty work, but they ended up getting captured anyway. And the earthbound ended up getting crossed over. But that was the first time I've seen an earthbound actually working for a demonic. And I thought that was really surprising because I didn't realize, I thought that they were kind of, I get it's kind of like a slave kind of situation, but at the same time, it's almost like some of them want to do this work. I guess they're a vibrational match, right? So a while back, we were doing an earthbound check on somebody who had passed away. This person had been through a lot. He had been through a great deal. Passed away from an overdose. And somebody booked an earthbound check for him. So we checked in, and sure enough, we found that he was actually working for a demonic. And I said, when you say working for, like, what are they doing? And he goes, his job for this demonic is to make people addicted. That's his job. And I said, he died under the influence. Yes, he did die under the influence of alcohol, but that is his job, that he makes people addicted. So somebody will go out to a bar, for example, have a few drinks, go home. This could be a person who only drinks socially, for example. You know, they're out celebrating somebody's birthday or whatever, and they have a few drinks, and he attaches to them. And his job was to turn them into an alcoholic. To basically, you know, corrupt them and to put thoughts in their head to make them want alcohol, to crave alcohol, but nothing else. And then what his job, so when they're craving the alcohol, he lowers the vibration. He puts negative thoughts into the person's head. He makes them go back to the bar over and over then, like, come on, go back to the bar, go drink, go drink, go drink, go drink, go drink. And they hear this in their head and they start craving alcohol like they wouldn't. That's a very abnormal thing, right? So they go back to the bar. What do? They pick up more earthbounds. They pick up more things. And as their vibration starts to go down, what happens? They can pick up a beastie. As the vibration goes down, then you're more vulnerable. You pick up a reptilian or a demonic. Let's just say you pick up a reptilian, for example, because they love people who drink. So reptilian follows you home. You're feeling depressed. You've got an earthbound who wants you to drink. You've got a reptilian who's giving you headaches and pain and making you nauseous all the time. So what happens? You start getting depressed. You start getting agitated. You start feeling exhausted all the time. You start feeling really emotional about stuff for reasons you don't understand. And what do? You start drinking heavier. You start drinking more and more and more. And then as your vibration plummets, then you start picking up the demonics. And demonics can be worse than the reptilians can be. Because the demonics are the ones that take away your will to live. They take away, they're the ones that are like, you feel like a shell of yourself. They're the ones that really, reptilians do tend to like make you angry and agitated and make you very confrontational. But it's the demonics that take away your will to live more than anything else. They're the ones that just, this is why reptilians and demonics tend to work together very often, because one can make your vibration plummet very quickly. That's the reptilian. But then the demonic, they're the ones that really start siphoning away your life force energy. They make you a shell of a person. And if you've got like, let's say 3 or 4 addicts attached to you, earthbound addicts attached to you, you can't say no. That's 3 or 4 people sitting on your back going, go to the bar, go to the bar. Go get a bottle. Go get a bottle. That's 4 people sitting here going. Pss, 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 pss. How easy is that for somebody who is an addict to ignore that? It's almost impossible to ignore. So people wonder why they have addiction. People wonder why they overdose. This is why. And every single time, it doesn't matter if it's somebody who's dealing with pills or alcohol or any form of inebriation, they're there. They love it. It's their job. So I asked, I was curious about this one earthbound where he was literally working for a demonic. And I said, what can we do about the situation? Because I feel there's more to this situation. And he goes, oh, there is. It's like a whole network. And I said, what do you mean a network? And he goes, well, the demonic that he's working with has other earthbounds, and those other earthbounds have other earthbounds that they're connected to. Guess how many earthbounds we crossed over? And I really want to applaud Sam for doing this, because Sam, the guides don't have to do this. When they cross over one earthbound, they could choose to be like, all right, one and done. But Sam took the extra initiative to trace that earthbound back to the demonic that was bossing it around, that had the dirt contract with it. Used that demonic to trace it to other demonics, to trace it to other earthbounds. He crossed over nearly 800 earthbounds in one area through those cords. It took the Salacians like 30 minutes at least as they're doing all this. And I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, oh, just doing this, doing that, going, following this cord, going to this person, checking this person, going to this part, going to checking the family members as well. So anyway, I'm blown away by how much I learned from these earthbound checks and how much extra we can get done by following cords and by following contracts and by, just doing extra digging. And I love it. I love it. It's why I love Lost Soul Rescue so much. This is why I like doing the ghost busting tours. I cannot wait. I'm telling you, we're going to change the vibration of the UK as we're moving across, crossing everybody over. Bradley was telling me, don't worry, I'll drive. And I was like, actually, you're going to be out the window going, you're clearing and you're getting a clearing, you're getting a clearing, and I'm going to drive Miss Daisy and you're going to be like, and you get a clearing and you get a clearing and you get a clearing. Just clear everybody as we're driving around. Telling you, we need it. Especially these earthbounds. That's if I had to choose one aspect of this work, that would be it. I would just be doing muscle rescues. That's my favorite thing in all this. I love doing spirit release. Don't get me wrong. Lupe says, when are you doing the next class? Which class are you talking about, darling? I got 3 classes up on my website. I'm doing classes every other weekend for the next, I think, 8 weeks or so until I leave. So another thing I wanted to explain, another thing that I really like doing, although I don't think people understand what they are exactly. So I wanted to explain this a little bit. So if you guys go on my website, you will notice we have the standard clearing, which is just a full clearing. We have the full detailed, which is the option to ask your soul guides extra questions. We also have bubble clearings. So I wanted to explain what a bubble clearing is today, because I think a lot of you guys are going to get kind of confused. They're my favorite SRT to do because you get a lot more done in that period. So a bubble clearing is when you submit more than one name at a time. So I offer bubble clearings for 4 people, like a family of 4. And I also offer bubble clearings for up to 10 people. So you give me 10 people's names, their date of birth, and their location. I give that information to my guides. I repeat it 3 times for each individual. Make sure they got it. I make sure you got that person in the bubble. Yep. Okay. Person number 2 is this. And then I read it. You got that person in the bubble. Yep. So it takes us about 15 minutes to get everybody in the bubble. But once we have everyone in the bubble, what happens? People are like, oh, how can you clear 10 people at once? Well, even if they're spread all over the place, even if they're in 10 different locations, yes, we basically pull that client's energy to us and we put their energy in a bubble. And when their energy is in the bubble, that's when we can see what's attached to them. If they've got entities attached, if they've got implants, we can do a scan of them in the bubble, right? But this is different to how we would normally do a clearing, because when let's say you did a $99 standard SRT clearing, right? We don't pull you into a bubble then. What we do is we go straight into your house. So when you get a standard clearing, we clear you completely. We go down like a 30, 40 question point clearing protocol, right? So we go through each question and make sure everything is cleared fully as we're going through. So implants, devices, portals, earthbounds, cords, spells, curses, contracts, sigils, symbols, seals, all these things that we look for, right? There's tons and tons. There's about 30 different things that we look for. We make a list of everything and we clear it, right? And this is what we report in your reading, right? In your report that you get by email. But when we do a full SRT, we clear everybody in the house. Just for the record, it makes no point for us to clear you, but not to clear your husband and your children. I'm not going to tell you what your husband had. I'm not going to tell you what your children had. I might say found in the house. If I say found in the house, usually that's what found on other people in the house. That's what that means. So if you read it on your report, it said like 3 earthbounds, or what do you call it? 3 elementals attached, 2 more in home. That's what it means. 3 of them were attached to you. 2 of them were attached to other people in the house. That could be the wife. It could be the husband. It could be the kids. It could be the pet. It could have been the dog that had one of the elementals attached, right? So this is different when you do a bubble clearing, because when I do a bubble clearing, like I said, we pull your energy to us and then we clear you. We do not clear your house. We do not clear everybody in your house. We do not clear everything inside the house, right? So Zach was explaining this the other day because I had a client who booked a recheck, who booked a bubble clearing for 4. The client messaged me back a couple days later and was like, I don't feel any different. None of us, not one of us feel any different. And I was like, okay, well, that's fine. So I go back with another person, a different medium. Whenever I go back for a free recheck within 10 days, if the client doesn't feel any different, they are entitled to a recheck. So I go back in with a different medium to get a second opinion. And it was Zach this time. And I asked Zach, what's going on? Was the clearing completed the first time? And 99% of the time, he's like, yep, everything looked perfect. There's just a few thought forms. I was like, okay. But this time, and I asked, what's going on with this? And they said, well, this was a bubble clearing. And I said, yeah. And he goes, you have to understand something. With a bubble clearing, it's slightly different. We don't go into the house of the individual. We take the energy and put them in a bubble and clear it separately, right? But when we do an individual clearing, we go into the house, we clear everything in the house and all that. For a bubble clearing, we don't clear the house. We pull their energy in and we clear it. So think of it like taking somebody out of a house and dipping them in a flea bath. Okay? You take them out of the house, you dip them in the flea bath, and then you send them back to the house. So if you put all 4 people that live in the same house, everybody that was in the house, their energy comes out, gets a flea bath, and goes back in, there's nothing else to clear because everybody in the house got a clearing, right? But if you have, let's say, 10 people living in one house and you clear one person from a bubble. So this client, that's what happened is they had one person, but 4 different houses. So 4 people in each different house. And then when we cleared the people, they went back to the house and there was other people there that were not on the list who did not get a clearing. So what happens when you take a person out, give them a cleaning, and then put them back again? They get dirty. If you don't clean the house, if you don't clean everything or clear everybody around, then you're not getting, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? He explained that to me and I'm like, okay, thank you for explaining that because I didn't understand, because I'm aware that they do clear everybody. If you book a clearing, let's say a wife books a clearing for herself and there's a husband in the house and 2 kids, we will make sure that everybody is sovereign. It makes no point to clear just the wife because the husband's probably got stuff and the kids probably have some stuff. And if the wife goes back into the house clean and clear, she's going to be a target because the entities are going to be like, oh, she's clean, she's clear, let's get her, So this is why it's important that everybody in the house gets a clearing at once. Yes, we will make sure that everybody's sovereign. If you book one clearing for one person, yeah, we'll make sure they're sovereign, but we're not going to clear all their contracts. We're not going to clear all their implants. We're not going to give them the 30-point clearing like you're getting. We're just going to clear the entities and make sure that they can't jump to you because they're like fleas. There's no point in clearing the wife's beasties and then sending her back into the house where the husband's got beasties because the hubby's beasties are just going to jump on her. So it is important, yes, when you book a bubble clearing, to book a house clearing with it. Just book a property clearing. That's enough. It's like $50 extra. We clear the whole house and the whole property around it. So if you get a bubble clearing, it's important. It does help. And we do give quite a discount on the bubble clearings. I mean, if you get a mass clearing, it's $25 a person. $25 a person. But keep in mind that if you get a bubble clearing, it's important if you want the houses cleared too, that you book a property clearing for the individual houses as well. Because this is the problem. People do not understand. If you book a standard clearing, the guides go in, they clear the whole house. But if you have a bubble, they pull you out, clear you in the bubble, and then put you back again. That is the difference between them. Somebody said, when you do a full SRT, do you clear and close down portals in the house? Yes, we do. With every full SRT, we always close down portals. We always close down portals regardless. Portals are doorways for entities to come in. We have to shut the doors. So yeah, portals are closed with every single report. Doesn't matter which one you get. So does anybody have any questions about that? Like the family of 4 is only $188, which if you were to book it individually, we do offer a discount for that as well. It's $333 for an individual clearing. Because if you were going to book them individually one-on-one, that'd be $99 a piece. So if you book them for individual reports, those that you get a discount. So basically you get almost one free clearing for that. Tammy says, can this be done remotely? Everything is done remotely, my love. All of this is done remotely. So just to explain a little bit about how we do clearings. So we have specially trained psychic mediums who have been trained in spirit release. This is a form of clinical exorcism. Like, I'm not even kidding. So the medium goes into a trance. Some go into a trance deeper than others, but they all go into some kind of an altered state where they connect with their soul guides. They ask their soul guides, certain validating questions to make sure that they are really talking to their soul guides, because there's some clever imposters out there. So we train the mediums to validate their guides and to connect with the right beings, because otherwise they can be very sneaky. After the medium connects with their guides, I give the information to their soul guides. I tell their soul guides the name, the date of birth, and the location of the client. When they have that, which is the same information that Edgar Casey used, for example, when he was doing his Akashic Records reading, it's the same information we use when you're doing an astrology reading kind of report. We don't need your time of birth. We don't need it to be that exact. But the reason why that information is helpful is because that leads us to your energy signature. There is only one version of you with the exact same name, the exact same location, and the exact same date of birth. So that helps us to narrow you down out of 8 billion people on this planet. Maiden names are more helpful. The soul guides say the name that you were born with is easier for them to track you down. Apparently, Source can't use married names, but it makes it a little bit more challenging. So married names is still good, but birth names are more important, because that is the frequency. That is the name you chose. So that has your personal frequency encoded into it. So we need your full name, date of birth, and location. And my guides can find you. I don't care if you're hiding in an underground base in Antarctica. They'll be able to find you. So they find your energy signature. That's when they can tell what is there that should not be there. And after they've, kind of given a good look at your energy, they can tell what needs to be removed, and they remove it. And then they can help repair your chakras and all kinds of other stuff. So that's how they do the clearing. Someone asked, how often should we get a recheck? Whenever you feel like you need one, whenever you feel like there's kind of a funk going on. I'm clearing every day. I get one every time I sit down to work. Even though it's funny, every time I ask, am I sovereign? They say yes. I have not been unsovereign in like months. Because Fergus, chef's kiss, he's doing such a phenomenal job of keeping me sovereign. But I still check every day. In fact, yesterday I was out doing errands and I asked Zach, I said, am I sovereign? He goes, of course you are. I was like, yeah, because Fergus takes his job very seriously. He goes, Fergus takes his job extremely seriously. He is almost overprotective of you. He's like a level 1 trying to get in, and Fergus was like, nope, not happening. So the more you kind of, develop a connection to your gatekeeper, the more you kind of work out an agreement and understanding with your gatekeeper, the more safe you are, because your gatekeeper needs your consent to clear you. So every morning I say, Fergus, can you please keep me safe today? And every night before bed, I say, please keep me in my body so I don't go running around in crazy places getting into trouble. Thank you. In fact, we have a joke on it. I call it keep a lid on it. I say, Fergus, keep a lid on it. This is what it means. It means keep me in my body, please. When I say that to him, Fergus, keep a lid on it. That's me. I'm the one that needs the lid. So yes, it's funny. I even said to Zach yesterday, because I was in the middle of typing. And Zach's like, back up, Laura, back up. And I was like, I'm just typing. And he goes, no, you're not. Your energy is all up in this mess. And I was like, no, I don't want it. And that's when Zach was laughing. He's like, Fergus, put a lid on her. I was like, okay, thank you. I was not trying to be into the mix. I was just typing. But apparently my astral body was like, I guess I'm that good of a multitasker. My astral body can go all up in the clearing, while my physical body is just sitting there like doing this. How long do you have to wait when you purchase a clearing? It depends right now on what you book and when you book. Right now, for a full detailed clearing, the wait is about between 4 and 5 weeks. I believe it's like 2 days over 4 weeks right now, so that's why I say between 4 and 5 weeks. A full detail takes longer because I only have a couple mediums that do those. And if those mediums are unavailable, then it makes it harder. So there's a couple mediums who are not comfortable going into the Akashic records to that degree. So that's why there's certain guides that I prefer to go into the records with. Michelle says, what if you were asked if you're sovereign and you don't get a response? I would use muscle testing. Google it. Google muscle testing and try the muscle testing. If you don't get a response in your mind, see if you get a response from your body. Just Google muscle testing. There's tons of YouTube videos about muscle testing. Use your body to muscle test whether or not you're sovereign. It works easier. Because they can put shit in your head. Your body, trust your body more than sometimes your thoughts. At least it's easier for me anyway. How do the mediums make sure it is their guide that they are connecting to? DJ wants to know. Because we have rigorous training in SRT2. Rigorous training. We learn a lot about passwords. We learn about imposters. Imposters can lie their asses off, but you can't fake a frequency. So we teach you how to validate, not just through passwords, but through frequency, through the feeling of connecting with your guides. It takes practice. It takes discernment. It takes training. It takes consistency every day connecting to your team, but it's almost like getting to know your best friend. When your best friend calls and you don't look at the phone who's calling and you hear hello, do you have to question who it is? No, because you talk to them every day on the phone for hours. You know immediately who it is because you've built a connection. You've built an understanding. You do that with your guides too. Izzy says, why aren't some mediums comfortable going into the records? Because of the human ego getting in the way. This is why all mediums are not 100% are 100% accurate all the time, because the human ego gets in the way. This is why I've often said that trance mediums are a little bit more accurate, because the medium is asleep. The ego is asleep. It's a galactic or somebody that's coming in that they're channeling. And galactics don't have human egos. So it's the human ego gets in the way. And it just makes up shit. I don't know why it does that. The human ego is a pain in the ass. Okay? It just makes up shit. And it makes up shit and it mingles it in between the stuff that you're downloading. So sometimes you get accurate information downloading, and other times you get nonsense that the ego makes up. And it's very hard to discern between the two. So if a trance medium is doing it, the ego is out. The ego is in the back seat, asleep, snoring. So the ego is not going to mess with it as much. So there's less, the mediums might be getting accurate information, but we gaslight ourselves and we get confused. And it's really hard to discern accurate information versus the ego's information. So this is why, I hate to say it, but most of the time, if I'm going for an Akashic Records reading, I really only take my information from a trance medium. If I hear it from somebody else, I will see if I resonate with it. Same with everything. Sometimes I resonate, sometimes I don't. If I don't resonate, I don't accept it as my truth yet, regardless of who it comes from. Even from trance mediums, they're not always 100% accurate. So just wanted to read some of these questions. What do you suggest for split families where the kids go from one parent's home to the other certain days every week? I would get a property clearing for the other house. The main house the person is in is included, but if they're going somewhere else and that person who owns that house is not getting a clearing, then I would book a property clearing. We clear everybody with a property clearing. In fact, the other day, somebody was a little bit cheeky. They're like, here, I have a property clearing. By the way, there's like 3 schizophrenics who live on the property. I was like, so what do? We can't clear the property without clearing the 3 people who are schizophrenic. And the medium was like, yeah, that's fine. And I said, okay, we'll just clear the people. And they're like, yeah, we'll clear them. We're not going to write a whole report for each individual and tell them what we cleared. We'll just clear everything. And I was like, all right. So they basically got 3 clearings by booking a property clearing, because we're not going to leave you with beasties attached. All beasties on the property will go. We're not going to leave them around. But I recommend even booking for both houses technically, because the person, like, let's say that you're divorced, you get a clearing for yourself and your 2 kids and your ex-husband, but you're split between 2 houses. That, if it's a bubble clearing, then you need to book an individual property clearing to go with it. Because like I said, bubbles, we pull them out and put them in a bubble and we clear them. But if it's a standard SRT, we go into the house to clear them. So we'll be clearing everything. So that is the difference between a bubble clearing and a standard clearing. Bubble clearings are great. We love the bubble clearings. I'm just saying they're so much easier for us to write reports because everybody's information gets lumped into the same one. So they're most effective that way if you clear everybody all at once. We're still going to clear the entities, but it makes it better for everybody if they get all their implants removed, all their cords removed, all their contracts removed, all their stuff. So that's why we did it that way. Can you tell us what is going on when people take maid? Do they end up getting lost and not crossing over? It depends on the situation. Everybody's situation is different when they die. It depends on the vibration they were in, the mindset they were in, the location and the location's vibration that they were in. There's the medicine that they took. There's just so many different factors about crossing over. Everything could be going great, right? Where everything is in their favor. They die in a good, happy mindset. They die in a nice, happy location. They die sovereign. They have all these things. They still might not cross over because they don't want to. Nope. They might have gotten distracted. They might have seen their cat walking by and be like, oh, and just start wandering off and ignore the portal and don't cross over that way. Other people, sometimes they cross over immediately. Like, right as soon as they die, they're like, oh, mom, and they go to the light immediately. So it depends. It's every single person is unique. We don't know until we check. Can you do a bubble clearing on a lineage family line? Yes, Brian, absolutely you can. In fact, we do that quite often. We do that quite often. In fact, whenever you do an ancestral clearing, we tend to clear that for the whole ancestral line anyway. Yes, I know what maid is. Yes. Maid is when you, it's assisted death, basically. And they're doing it for everybody right now. Oh my God. You could be like, I hate my life. They're like, okay, here you go. It's crazy. Phoenix says, what is a bubble clearing? If you don't mind rewatching the podcast, we've explained it like 3 times today on the podcast already, Phoenix. Bubble clearings is when we clear 4 people at once or 10 people at once, but we don't include the house. So if you book 4 people in 4 separate locations, like somebody else did about a week ago, and they were like, I don't feel any change. Well, it's like taking somebody out, giving them a flea bath, and then putting them back in a house full of fleas. If you've got 10 people in one house, and then you got 10 people in another house, and then 10 in each house, right? Let's say there's 4 houses with 10 people, and you clear 4 individuals. You just take 1 person from each house and clear them. They're not going to stay sovereign long. We didn't clear the other 9 people in each location. So, yeah, they got a clearing, but no, they're not going to stay sovereign long because they're going back into a house full of beasties. So if you're clearing, let's say all 4 people live in the same house, then yeah, then that's fine. Then we got everything. But if you're clearing 10 people in 10 different houses and there's 50 other people around those 10 people, you get what I mean? This is why we give such big discounts too, because we want to help you guys clear large numbers of people. If you got 10 people in your family, this is the most effective way to clear everybody. And it's only $25 a person then. Can I book a clearing for my husband, even if he's a skeptic? Yes, absolutely. It's really funny. For the last couple of weeks, have you guys ever noticed on your payroll star, or what do you call it, when you book a clearing with me, it says higher source content? The reason it says higher source content is because, well, first of all, it was a little joke anyway, but that's what I've called my LLC for the last few years. Like, I've been doing social media stuff. I've been running pages for a long time. I still run pages. You guys don't know this. I don't just do my page. I do other people's pages as well. I'm still running other people's pages too. So I still do social media, and that's what my LLC was called for my social media stuff, was higher source content. So people see higher source content, they see a purchase to higher source content, and they're like, what the hell is this? And then they look it up online and it just says something about social media. So somebody called me last night on my phone at like 8 o'clock at night. It had a no caller ID, and I looked at it like, should I answer this? Maybe not. And I answered the phone, and some guy was like, who is this? And I'm like, you're the one calling me. He's like, is this higher source content? And I was like, yes, yes, it is. He had no idea what it was. And I was like, how much was the purchase on your card? And he's like, $99. Booked a clearing. And he's like, oh, what's a clearing? I was like, oh shit, here we go. So I spent like 5 minutes on the phone talking to this person. I still don't even know what his name was. A really nice guy though, but he had no idea who I was, what I do. When I said my name, he's never heard of me before. And then he's like, I need to talk to my partner. I think my partner might have booked a clearing. And I was like, I think you do. I think you might need to. But it was funny trying to explain this to somebody who had no idea. None. What the hell? What the hell is this purchase? Who are you? I should have told him I was an exorcist. That would have been funny. Oh, your wife must have booked you an exorcism. So amusing. So if you ever see higher source content, that's me. I've had so many people the last couple weeks going, who the hell is this? I even had one person book a, what do you call it? They thought that their card got stolen because there was like a $300 charge for something on their card. And they're like, I don't know what this is. So yes, that's me, just for the record. Anybody have any other questions before I disappear for the weekend? I'm going to go see Florence and the Machine. I have got my outfit ready. I'm so excited. I don't know if I'm going to post a picture. It just heads. Because I do plan on making myself look fancy. Check out the outfit I got. Yep, here's the dress I'm going to wear. I got a cape. Tell me that cape is not Florence type cape, right? Matchy matchy. I'm so excited. So I'm actually driving to New Jersey in 30 minutes to go to this concert. If anybody knows Florence and the Machine, that is a total Florence and the Machine outfit. I'm so excited about it. I'm going to blend in. Lori says, clear the crowd. Fergus, are you going to clear the crowd? He's like, no. No. Fergus stands by my side, but he will not be clearing. I told him, I said, we're going to have an adventure tonight. It'll be real interesting seeing what you think of your first concert. Because Fergus has only been out of jail for a year. There's a lot of things he hasn't experienced yet. And I keep taking him to new things and showing him new things because he's still a bit like, wow. Because a lot has changed in 280 years. What if you have to be around someone that has dark energy? Well, that's what psychic protection is for, my love. Oh, Ella's here. Hi, honey. I hope you don't mind me talking about your dad. He was so wonderful. That was really, really nice to talk with him. Melody says, can music be harmful to our frequency? Yes, it can. Absolutely. Low vibrational, negative music, toxic music. Yep. Why do you think they took over the music whole scene? Absolutely. Music can be toxic. Depending on what you listen to. Same with TV. Hi, Jill. Nice to see you, darling. How do you connect with your gatekeeper without interference? I would flood your whole thing with white light. So visualize white light coming down and just flushing everything from your system. You can smudge your space. You can just make sure, just to kind of help anchor that high frequency. Oh, that was your uncle. Okay. Thank you, Elle. Either way, lovely guy. But yeah, you can flood your whole etheric with golden light, white light, whatever you want to call it. Ground yourself and then call in your gatekeeper and ask your gatekeeper to come close. And then gauge how you feel when your gatekeeper comes close. How do I know when my gatekeeper comes close? Because I can literally feel him. I can feel him on my right side. But then when I ask for a sign, usually he does this. So you can ask for a sign. You can ask for a tingle or goosebumps. You can ask for a feeling somewhere on your body. You tend to feel here more than anywhere else. Because you're very sensitive in this location. You got a lot of chakras between here and here. You got a lot going on. So this tends to be your more sensitive area for feeling. So I would start with that. I had a funny game that I was playing with Fergus, and we should play that game more often. I forgot about that. Where I ask him a question, and if or I make a statement or something, and if I'm right, he does this. He actually taps me on my nose, and I can feel him tapping my nose. So that's yes. And if I'm wrong, he pats me on the head. Like, oh, nice try. Like, that's what it really means. So yes, and then oh no, but you tried. That's what it means. So yes and no. So if it works for you, see if it works for you. Otherwise, try and come up with a different one. So yeah, you can use my trick. Like I said, if you want to get a yes from your gatekeeper, ask them to tap you on your nose. You can feel that. There's other things that you can do, but it is kind of amusing. Like when when it's a no, to feel somebody pat you on the head, like, oh, like yeah, I could try. It's kind of the vibe it feels like anyway. So it's a pleasure, Ash. Nice to see you as well. Somebody says, what is the difference between a gatekeeper and a soul guide? Your gatekeeper is one of your soul guides. It's your bouncer. It's the one that protects you. It's your soul guide that makes sure nobody messes with you. But they have to abide by free will. So if you don't ask for protection, they will literally stand by and watch you get your ass kicked. They have to. It's not up to them. They don't get to be like, you know what, she didn't ask for help, but I'm going in anyway. No, you have to ask. Even with Fergus, I have to ask. Otherwise, he's not allowed to help me. They have very strict, annoying rules. Very strict, annoying rules. Some of these rules are so strict and annoying. I'm going to talk to the manager when I get up there, because I do not agree with some of these rules. The free will stuff, I understand. Okay, I get it. And this is why prayer is so effective, because sometimes when you're saying, please, Lord, help me, your soul guide's like, finally, she's asking for help. Jeez, I've been waiting for a month, watching her suffer. Couldn't offer any help because she's not asking. Now, when things are finally going really bad, that's when she's like, oh, please, please, Lord. Okay, well, now here I am. Now I can help. They get frustrated. They really do. They would love to help, but if you don't ask, you don't get. Dimple says, how come entities don't need your permission? Do you think they give a shit about your free will? Do you think a reptile cares whether or not he's circumventing your free will? No, of course not. But even they have to be clever about how they do it. That's why they do the dark contracts, because then they don't have the karmic repercussions from it. Reptilians are so good at shirking karma. They know how it works. Same with the Cabal. The Cabal knows how karma works. This is why they're always acting like Bond villains and telling everybody their evil plans before they even do it, because that shirks karma for them. If they tell you what they're going to do and you don't do jack shit about it, why should they have any karma? I told you what I was going to do. If I come up to you and tell you in about 10 seconds, I'm going to punch you in the face, and you look at me like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. And they're looking at you like, what? Well, you're going to do what? I said, I'm going to punch you in the face in 5 seconds. And they're like, no, you're not. Yeah. Okay. Well, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then you punch them in the face. And they're like, how could you do that? I told you I was going to do it. Do you think that makes a difference in the karma when you tell somebody you're going to do something and they don't, protect themselves? They don't step back and say, okay, I'm going to give you space. I don't want to get hit. Consent is everything. So this is why, the entities, the Cabal, the elite, this is what they do. They will tell you before they do it. And it could seem ridiculous. It could be like they're telling you in a movie. They could be just putting out a manifesto, like the guy from whatchamacallit, Palantir or whatever his name is. Did you guys hear about his manifesto? Oh, he's such a lizard. I'm telling you, that guy is a lizard. No doubt. Especially reading that manifesto. Read that manifesto and you'll see that's not a human talking. No. So this is why we're always saying you have to pay attention. You have to listen. This is why history repeats itself. This is why they constantly are telling you what they're going to do before they do it. So they can shirk the karma, so they can get away with it. And they do. It helps them to get away with it. So that's what the movie industry does. That's what the media does. Have you guys ever seen the really creepy video that was released by Papa Bush on September 11th, 1999? Might even have been 1990. Can't remember what year it was. But anyway, I remember it was September 11th because it was September 11th that he gave this speech. And Papa Bush sat there on camera and with a really creepy look on his face said, "You're going to have a new world order whether you like it or not. We're establishing a new world order. There's nothing you can do about it. And that's just how it's going to be, period." That's pretty much what his entire speech was about. Sitting there in the Oval Office, telling everybody what their plans were, telling everybody about this new world order. That was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago, nearly. They have to tell you, and they will straight up tell you right to your face, just like you say, "I'm going to punch you." And everybody's like, "Huh? He would never do that, would he?" Yeah, they would. Absolutely, they would. This is how they shirk karma, and they're going to continue to keep doing that because that is what they've been doing for thousands of years. So this is one of the reasons why we always say karma is one of the most important things. This is why veterans are stuck here. The veterans could have gone home. They have karma. They have to balance. Everybody that needs to go home, so to speak, that's why they're not home yet, is because they're still balancing that energetic karma. So karma is a big deal, and people think that it's not. People often think that karma is a punishment. That is the exact opposite of what it is. Karma is a lesson. Karma is a learning opportunity. Karma is an energetic IOU. It is saying you did something to me and you have to fix it. Or we did something to each other and we have to fix it. And if you think, well, screw that person, I don't want to fix anything. Well, guess what? Dumb shit. If you think, oh, I hate that person, oh, blah, 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 you're creating karma. Anytime you hate anyone, even if you just say it like, oh, I hate that guy, you're creating karma. You're absolutely creating cords, you're creating contracts, you're creating all kinds of stuff that people aren't aware of, because that emotional disgust that some people have, that emotional, like, you just feel repulsed by some people, and that can create contracts. Just being racist can create that contract. If you have something against someone else based on their background, their skin complexion, their cultural history, their religion, anything like that whatsoever, if you have any disdain against someone else based on any of those reasons, that also creates karma. Guess what you're going to come back with? You're going to come back with the exact situation that other person that you were talking badly about. Let's say you hate poor people, for example, right? I don't know. It's just an example. If you hate poor people and you're constantly talking bad about poor people, guess what you're going to experience when you come back? Guess what your next life is going to be? Dolores talks about this a lot in her books. This is one of the things that was very common in several of her books, was understanding prejudice. And how do you heal prejudice? By putting the shoes on the other foot, by walking a mile in somebody else's shoes, so to speak. So anytime you have a problem with someone else, you get it to basically an opportunity to look at it from their perspective. And the life review does this for you anyway. The life review, that is the whole point of the life review. A lot of people know about the life review because of the whole life flashing before your eyes. You know, when you die, you're going to see your life over again. It's going to happen all over again, but you're going to see it from your own perspective. You know, it's like it brings back all the memories. So everything is fresh in your mind. So everything that you just experienced over the last, I don't know, 80 years that you were alive as a human, it's all going to come fresh to the front of your mind when you pass away, when you go into the life review. But one of the most interesting aspects of the life review is not when you see your life over again. It's when you see it from the perspective of everyone else you have ever interacted with. And you will. That's how you plan the next life. That's what the gentleman was doing yesterday when we did the Lost Soul Rescue. He was looking at his life record, looking at his life and all the experiences he had. He was looking at the perspectives of everybody else that interacted with him, because how else are you going to learn what you need to work on? You need to learn by making yourself experience what other people felt. So you might have not even seen anything. You might have gone through some, let's say that, you know, there was a coworker and they were trying to reach out to get some help when they really needed it. And instead you were rude and you brushed them off and you were cold and you ended up making their situation worse. You might have just been having a bad day. You might have been completely unaware that you made that person feel like shit. You might have been like, oh, I had no idea that what I said was rude. I have no idea that I made that person feel terrible, because they just walked away and didn't say anything. So you go on with your life, not knowing that you had an influence on somebody else's reality. And then when you pass away, might be 60 years later, you go through the life review, you see that moment again. You're going to be back in that moment when you're back in your job, back with that moment where the coworker comes up to you, and then you see it from their perspective. You see how that rude comment you made influenced them. You feel how you made them feel. And sometimes you're going to feel guilty for it. Sometimes even in the spirit realm, you think, man, I could have handled that better. Or boy, I could have said something much better in that moment. Or man, I didn't realize I made them feel that way. And when that happens, what do? Well, you say, I feel like I have to make it up for them. I feel like I have to heal this with them because I really hurt them. And in fact, I caused them to go into an even worse downward spiral. And when you understand the way that you make people feel, you learn humility, you learn compassion. And those are some of the most important lessons that you can have here on earth. And if you don't learn those lessons, guess what? You're not getting out of here. You think they're going to let you off of this planet with that hatred in your heart? Looking down on other people? If you haven't learned compassion, if you haven't learned how to love yourself, and if you're still got this dog eat dog attitude of survival of the fittest kind of vibe, instead of helping and loving the people around you and making sure that we all thrive together, it's that Ubuntu lesson, right? Anybody ever heard of Ubuntu? This is something we often talk about in South Africa. One of my favorite stories is about how an anthropologist came to a village. I don't know if this story is true or if it was just one of those beautiful little parables that they put online, but how an anthropologist came to a village in Africa and he was teaching them tricks and having fun with the kids. And one day he wanted to do a little social exercise. So he took a basket of fruit and he put it in front of the tree. And he had all the children line up a ways from the tree in a line. And he says, okay, we're all going to race. We're all going to race to the tree. And the first child who gets to the basket is going to have all the fruit for themselves. They get to keep the basket of fruit. So all the children were all excited and they start to run and they all race. And one person gets to the basket first. And what does that one person do? He doesn't pick up the basket and run away with it and try and keep it to themselves. He shares the fruit with every single child in the bunch. And the anthropologist has been like, no, that's all yours. You don't have to share. You want it. And they said, how can I be happy if I'm keeping all this and everybody else is just watching me enjoy it? People don't have that attitude enough as they should. And I really feel like Ubuntu could save the world. That just the concept of it. Because the whole premise of Ubuntu is I can't thrive if you're not thriving with me. If I have too much, you share it. And they're just going to call me a socialist for saying that. I'm not. I swear. I'm more of an anarchist than a socialist. But it's true. When you have too much of something, you don't need it. Billionaires, for example, billionaires should not exist. If you truly understood how much $1 billion is, if you had any idea, the fathom how much resources that is to hoard, that's not having a basket you're hoarding, it's a dump truck full of shit that you're hoarding to yourself. So I honestly feel like, we idolize these people. And we think, well, we look down on people who, end up hoarding too much stuff in their house. But when you hoard billions of dollars and we look up to people like that, we think, oh my God, you're so cool. I wish I had $1 billion yacht. No, no. I think one of the first things that are going to go when this whole planet starts changing for the better is going to be billionaires. Billionaires are going to go. They're going to disappear. They shouldn't exist in the first place. So anyway, that's my rant for today. It must have been entertaining because I did keep quite a lot of people. There's still 200 people hanging out. If there's any other questions, feel free to hit me up because I will be around a little bit checking emails today. I'm going to try and catch up a little bit. And then Ariana says, what if I want to be a billionaire to help people? You wouldn't be a billionaire if you were helping people. That's the whole point. Billionaires wouldn't exist if they were actual philanthropists. Philanthropy is one of the most important things. I think that people should be competing. If you want to be seen as like this amazing, wonderful person, then let's see how how generous you are. Because the only reason you can end up with that much is because you're taking more than you need from other people. Trickle down economics is bullshit. I'm sorry, but it is. That is another hill I'm willing to die on. There is no such thing as trickle down economics. It's all nonsense. Nothing trickles down. Sylvie, hi Sylvie. What happens to the soul of someone who chose to take their own life? This happened to my cousin yesterday. First of all, my condolences for your cousin. I'm very sorry to hear that, Sylvie. If this was their plan, like this does happen on very, very rare occasions where they chose this as part of their plan, then they might have crossed over. But the sad thing is that 99% of the time, if not even more than that, there is an entity involved. So we were talking about the ego earlier and how the ego is something that humans have, right? So your ego is you. It's the subconscious mindset that you've been developing since you took the body that you're in right now, right? So every time you take a new body, you start developing a new ego. And that ego is all the knowledge you've accumulated throughout your experience here on earth in this body, but it also has a persona of its own. In fact, under hypnosis, we can even talk to the ego. You can have a conversation with the ego while the client is completely asleep without even being aware that it's happening. So the ego's entire purpose, the reason it exists, and keep in mind that only humans have egos, that galactics do not have egos. This is a human thing. So the reason the human ego exists is a form of protection and self-preservation. It is your defense. It is there to look out for you. Think of it as a subconscious persona that cares all about your well-being. This is one of the reasons why, if you have negative thoughts in your head and you think that your ego is beating you up about things like that, that's not you. That is not your ego. Your ego would never tell you that you're unworthy, that you're a piece of shit, that all these things that people get in their heads, that is an entity. The entire purpose of the ego, the thoughts that pop into your head that are you, so to speak, from your subconscious, that's the ego. But the problem is other thoughts from other people, thoughts from entities, all of these things can get jumbled up with the thoughts of the ego. So you don't know whether it's your ego talking, whether it's your soul guides talking, whether it's your higher self talking. All of it comes into your thoughts the same way. So discernment is one of the hardest things to learn in regards to mediumship, because you have to figure out if you're talking to the ego, you have to figure out if you're talking to the higher self, figure out if you're talking to the soul guides, figure out if you're talking to another earthbound standing right next to you. It's hard to tell because all the thoughts come in through the same way, right? So that makes it harder to discern. So if your ego is telling you to hurt yourself, if your ego is telling you that you're unworthy, that you're a loser, that you're a scumbag, that you don't deserve all these nice things, that's not your ego. That's some piece of shit lizard talking to you, or a demonic, or an earthbound, like one that's trying to tell you that you need to go and drink at the bar. It's one of those guys. Your ego does not tell you horrible things. Your ego does not tell you that you're, unworthy or that you don't deserve things. Yes, you might have some negative thought forms that were created by the ego. By yourself, you can create negative thought forms, and those thought forms might be putting thoughts in your head, but that's not the ego. The entire role of the ego is self-preservation. So if you're going to take your own life, do you think the ego is the one that told you that? If your whole job is to make sure that you're safe, do you think it was the ego, yourself, telling you that? Absolutely not. So no, almost every single time, and I've asked a couple different soul guides, what percentage of the time when somebody takes their own life is there an entity involved? They told me 100% of the time. 100% of the time, there is an entity involved in any form of self-harm. It doesn't matter what the self-harm. If you're a cutter, if you're somebody who does things like taking drugs, if you're somebody who has extreme, like, other things that you do, proclivities for things, if you know what I'm saying, right? That's not you. That's an entity. Dipti says, how do you stop negative thought forms? Affirmations and shadow work. Every time you get a negative thought that pops into your head, you have to treat it like it's an intruder. An intrusive thought is an intruder thought. Okay? So anytime an intrusive thought comes in, you have to discern, you have to dissect that thought. Where did it come from? Why did it come from? Where, why? What's going on? And every time, especially if it's something negative about you, you have to be like, okay, where did that come from? If something pops into my head, I will straight up tell my ego to sit down and shut up. And if I hear it again, I know that's not my ego. So anytime a negative thought comes in, I'm like, ego, is that you? No. Do I have a negative thought form? And sometimes I do. I've asked. I do tune-ups on occasion. I had a negative thought form the other day. You know what it was? Self-doubt. What a shocker. I'm working on not gaslighting myself, and I have a self-doubt thought form. Go figure. So just be mindful that, yes, if somebody takes their own life, chances are they need help to cross over. They're probably in a dark void with an entity. 9 times out of 10, that is what we find. So I highly recommend booking an earthbound check for anyone that has taken their own life. It doesn't matter how long ago it was. Because chances are they are stuck and they need some extra support. But keep in mind, you do kind of want to wait a little bit, because sometimes the energies are a bit chaotic. So anyway, even after somebody passes away, no matter how they passed away, it's probably a good idea to wait about a week to have some acclimating time for that. There's a transition period that happens for the first week after you pass away. And sometimes people will even book an earthbound check with an emergency, and I'll clear them the same day. And they're like, nope, they're not ready to cross yet. The guides know. The angelics know when somebody's ready. So I would have loved to check on Avicii. I honestly don't get me started, Katie. I have a long list of people that I really would love to check. Jim Morrison, just one of them. You know what I mean? I am the Lizard King. I wonder what's bothering him. We should be checking the whole 27 club, in my opinion. The whole 27 club needs a check. Athena, we were talking about David at the beginning, my love. So if you want to rewatch the podcast, that's where I was talking about David. I can't check him. I know his situation. He's going to need help in crossing, and we're not there yet. It's too dangerous. We can always look. We can always have a peek. I have guides who are very, very stealthy. They can have a look and see how bad the situation is. And if it's not a bad situation, we can get my crew together and take care of it. The more time has passed, generally, the less we have to deal with. So, but depending on high profile, you were like, I tried to save her, Joan, and couldn't because she had too many beasties on her. She's been dead for how long? And she's still surrounded to the point that we couldn't even get her out of it yet. This is one of the reasons why I carry a fleur-de-lis on me everywhere I go. And why I have her as a reminder that there's still more that need to be helped. But unfortunately, certain people have to wait a little while until our team gets bigger or until the collective's vibration goes up higher. So that we will do our best to help people, but we have to use discernment and to know when is the right time to do these things. Because there are a lot of people, even Robin Williams, I've been too scared to check on because we don't know what was there causing that. But we'll get there. This is only our first year. My guides have said this before. They're like, Laura, simmer down. It's like year 1. Chill out. Like, it's about year 2 technically now. I'm starting year 2. They're like, Laura, you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life. You have time. Just chill. Things are going to get stronger. Your team's going to get bigger. As the shift intensifies, you're going to get more and more backup, more and more support, and it'll be harder for entities to mess with you. There'll be less kickback, so to speak, from doing big clearing. So they're like, just bide your time. They're like, just take your time. Lupe says, are all negative thoughts entities? No, honey. Sometimes it's your negative thought forms. Think of negative thought forms as like an imaginary bully that you create. You know how you get an imaginary best friend, imaginary friends? We create imaginary bullies in our head too. That's what a self-inflicted demonic is. An inner demon, so to speak. So when you look at your reports and it talks about thought forms, those are your inner demons that you're working on. So thought forms are one of the most important aspects of your clearing. So pay attention to what your thoughts are. Thank you so much. There's 222 people watching. Yay. I love it. 222 partner. You guys want to see what else I got myself? Look at these. Check out the lilacs I got yesterday. They smell amazing. Isn't that a beautiful color too? So I'm really spoiling myself with flowers. So that's your homework for this weekend. Stick it out, get some flowers, raise the vibe of your space, treat yourselves, and make sure that you guys are spending some time in nature, hugging trees if you have to. I really enjoyed this conversation today. I was actually going to only sit for an hour because I still have some more packing to do before I was going to leave at 12:30. And I enjoyed this conversation so much. I stayed for an extra hour today hanging out with you guys. Teresa's asked twice about my tattoo. I have a Triskelion. See this right here? That's called a Triskelion. It's a triple spiral. I have that tattoo on my neck. I have it back here. Oh, you probably can't see it from where I am, but yeah, it's right back here. My Triskelion is there for protection from black magic and from beasties. They say it's been infused with dragon energy too. I was like, really? Because I asked the guides about the Triskelion, and that's what they told me. They said it's an ancient protection symbol. Carolyn says, have you got time to chase beasties before you go? I thought you were busy today. You're not busy today? I got 30 minutes for you, gorgeous. Anytime. See what I mean about those rechecks, right? We always have, if we have 30 minutes, we're like, screw it, let's get some done. We can squeeze in a couple. Thank you, Chantal. Love you, sister. Cool. All right, I'm going to go chase beasties with Carolyn. That's a good way of getting me to end the podcast, Carolyn. Let's go. Mwah. I love you guys. I hope you all have a fantastic, phenomenal, exciting weekend. Treat yourself. Get some flowers. Get some lilacs if you can, because they're only around for a couple more weeks and then they die. These are my favorite flowers in the whole world. Oh, they smell like heaven. I love lilacs. Oh, they're so nice. I loved going to the Lilac Festival in Rochester, although that was not what I was expecting it to be. I love you guys so much. I hope you have a great weekend. Thank you. I'm going to have a great time at my Florence and the Machine concert. I'm so excited. I'll take pictures. See you soon, everyone. See you Monday. Bye.